About one clip of First Lady Melania Trump's interview with ABC News anchor Tom Llamas. So I'm sure we'll have a lot more to say after tonight's special, Being Melania, the First Lady. Here with a sneak preview, please welcome Tom Llamas. I'm so excited you're here. So you had to actually go to Africa to interview the First Lady. She's obviously very private. Was this a calculated decision for her to speak out now and to speak out specifically to you right now?
You know, Megan, that's a really good question. It took us 2 years to get this interview.
Wow.
It started back in the campaign. I covered the Trump campaign, and I had been toying with the idea of doing an extended interview with her. And then, you know, we had a lot of meetings with her staff. We had a lot of meetings at the White House. And my pitch to her was very simple. It was, America doesn't know who you are. I want to give you an opportunity to say who you think you are. And I think we got there. I researched all of the interviews going back to when she started dating Donald Trump. Late 90s, read all the transcripts I could of every interview she's ever done. Wow. She co-hosted The View once. We saw those clips.
She was on Joy's show also.
She was on Joy's show. Yeah, right. And so I looked at all those interviews, and I'm not saying this because it's our interview or it's our special tonight, but it is the most revealing interview of Melania Trump, I think, to date. And I think she surprised me with some of her revelations. You guys have seen some of the clips, and I think she's going to surprise the nation. Whether you hate her, whether you love her, she's a mystery, and I think we get a small glimpse tonight.
We do have a clip because there have been a lot of questions about their marriage specifically. People say they sleep in different rooms, that after this is all over, they're going to get a divorce. You went there. You asked specifically about these alleged infidelities from the president, and here's how that went.
You're not the First Lady to have to deal with her husband's alleged infidelities. Has this put a strain on your marriage?
It is not concern and focus of mine. I'm a mother and a First Lady, and I have much more important things to think about and to do. I know people like to speculate, and media like to speculate about our marriage.
Have you been hurt, though?
Media, what is speculating, yeah, it's not always pleasant, of course, but I know what is right and what is wrong and what is true or not true.
The only time you have commented publicly your office was when Rudy Giuliani came out and said your thoughts about Stormy Daniels' claims and said she believes in her husband, she knows it's not true. Is that an accurate statement?
I never talked to Mr. Giuliani.
Why do you think he came out and said that?
I don't know. You need to ask him.
Really interesting.
Can I say something? That's interesting. Is it possible that she's not concerned with his mistresses because she was one of them? Is that possible? That it doesn't affect her?
You specifically asked
in
her
that way
if she loved her husband.
Right. I asked her if she loved her husband. She says she still does love her husband. You know, we asked a lot of questions about this because this sort of has consumed the White House this whole year. The president's personal attorney, one-time personal attorney, may go to prison because of the payment and the cover-up connected to all of this. So we did ask those questions. And to the First Lady's credit, when we said we wanted to interview her, there were no ground rules. No questions were off the table. And that takes a lot because she has been through a lot over the last 2 years. And she answered every single one of our questions, including stuff about immigration, including stuff about cyberbullying, and her trip to Africa.
Well, let me ask you this. People, we have been questioning her fashion choices, from the pussy bow shirt that she wore right after the Access Hollywood tape, from the colonial pith helmet she wore on her trip to Africa, to the I don't care, do you jacket that she wore visiting children who have been separated from their parents. I mean, does she understand that what she wears is a political statement? Is she trying to make a statement? You know, people who are Melania watchers, people who track her fashion, who cover her day-to-day, say that everything she wears, she is making a statement. When we were in front of the Great Sphinx and she was wearing that outfit and essentially sort of turned that into a runway, she did, you know, took a lot of photos, but when they asked about her wardrobe, she dismissed that question quickly. She said she's, you know, she wants people to focus on her work, not her clothes. It's a fair question to ask. You know, her style is her style. She's a former fashion model, so those questions are all fair.
So what she wore, I don't care one, though, does she answer that?
But wait,
So, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. What do you guys want to do?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I think
the jacket. So the jacket is it's a big part of this interview because we got the real story about the jacket. There is a story, there was a message, and we got the real story about what happened with the jacket. She explains it. She explains what she was thinking. She explains why she wore it. And
that is
there's
quite a tease for this interview, because I'm going to watch it just for that.
Yeah.
Right? Wow. Well, another thing.
Okay.
One of the First Lady's platforms is cyberbullying, but she told you she feels that she is one of the most bullied people in the world. Did she acknowledge at all that her husband is one of the world's biggest and most powerful cyberbullies? I mean, they're calling him the, bully in chief. I mean, that can't be lost on her.
It's not, and I asked her about it as well, because it is sort of strange that she took up cyberbullying. There was reporting, and I asked her about this, that the president didn't want you to take up this topic because it was sort of very, very ironic considering what he does. A lot of people consider him to be the biggest cyberbully on the planet. He attacks people's looks, their intelligence, their talent, all on Twitter. And she says she doesn't agree with what he has to tweet. But there was something, I felt that there had to be something behind that, because it sort of was not ridiculous, but it was surprising that she'd want to take that on. So I asked her, what was the personal reason? You guys talked about it all yesterday. She says you could say I'm the most bullied person on the planet. And I think she does feel that. And if you put in Melania, if you search Melania on Twitter, you will see what she sees. She no longer checks Twitter. But, I do want to remind everyone, she's not the first lady to get attacked. Hillary Clinton was attacked. She said there was a vast right-wing conspiracy.
Michelle Obama
was attacked a lot.
Yeah.
Tom, on the heels of the anonymous op-ed piece written in the New York Times, you asked Melania if there are people she distrusts in the West Wing. What did she tell you?
She told me that there still is a group of people that she does not trust. There was a group of people that initially she didn't trust. She says those people still are not there. But she says there's still people she doesn't trust, and she tells her husband. And yesterday in a live TV interview, her husband was asked about that exact exchange in our interview, and he said she's right. He said there's a lot of great people, but there's still people we're weeding out, and we will get them out.
Did she make it sound like there's a sense of paranoia, that they're like looking around the corners, like who could it be?
She didn't seem like there was a sense of paranoia. I think when she sees something and she doesn't like something, she lets her husband know, or she lets her staff know. I asked her a lot about the media coverage because she claims she doesn't read it. She told me she doesn't read everything because there's too much. But anytime there's a negative headline about Melania Trump, her team does respond, and they are on top of it. So in that sense, she is a lot like the president as well.
What's so interesting from your perspective is you got to know her off camera too, right? And not everyone gets that perspective. What can you tell us about her that we don't these interviews, about her personally, and maybe how she's feeling about things?
The person you see on camera is a lot like the person you see off camera, at least around us. She is very quiet. She was very, very polite. She was very, very professional. I can't stress it enough, but on these big interviews, people usually do have stipulations. People don't always say it, but it's sort of like the ugly truth sometimes. Yeah. And she didn't give us any stipulations, and so for that, I do give her credit. Before we go, I do want to say something. There was a comment made at this table today about Mrs. Trump.
Allegedly.
About Mrs. Trump. I just want to say, whether you like her or you don't like her, she deserves our respect because she is our first lady.
Yeah.
I don't disagree.
Thank you, Tom. Our thanks to Tom Yamas. Being Melania, the First Lady, airs tonight right here on ABC at 10 p.m. Eastern. It is not to be missed.